Don't say you don't recognize a legitimate government. That is treasonable felony. What Peter Obi and Datti Ahmed are doing is treasonable felony, and we must draw the line for them now.
For those of you who are trying to respond to Festus Keyamo's comments calling for the arrest of Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti, if you really understand why he has written his petition to the DSS calling for the arrest of Peter Obi, you would see that there is really no need to even answer him. You know, when they say silence is the best answer given to a fool, I think Festus Keyamo's case would be the best example to actually apply this. If only you knew exactly why Festus Keyamo is so energetic in his call for the arrest of Peter Obi. And it's quite laughable because this is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Senior advocate of Nigeria. The reason he's calling for the arrest is not because of any unconstitutional thing that anybody did, because on his interview on Channel, he kept saying that the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, which is Yusuf Datti, actually came on air to say that they don't recognize the legally constituted government. But that was an attempt to mislead Nigerians, which the APC and Tinubu's campaign team have tried to do repeatedly. But this time around, it's not sufficient for them, it's not enough for them to suppress the voters during election day. It's not enough for them that they have been declared winner of the election. It's not enough for them that, oh, they have a president-elect in Tinubu now. It's not enough. They need to go out of their way to do things that are just unthinkable, things that are just not smart. Now, you saw Festus Keyamo on channels with the energy, the way he was talking and screaming at the top of his voice. One commenter said that he was talking and screaming like an agbero. In fact, another commenter actually said that it's like hanging out with Tinubu's agberos for so long has now rubbed off on Festus Keyamo that he now forgets that he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. He forgets that and now behaves more like an agbero himself. Came out very energetically with a whole lot of screaming, calling for the arrest of Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti. Why? There's a reason for this. And if you love Nigeria, you need to understand the reason for this, so that you would understand why there's no need to respond to Festus Keyamo. You'll understand why there's need to stay the course for this journey to reclaim the mandate for Peter Obi. Why did Festus Keyamo, or why is Festus Keyamo calling for the arrest of Peter Obi? Is it because really what Yusuf Datti said is unconstitutional? Is it because of that? Yusuf Datti and Peter Obi and Labour Party have taken the case to court. Remember, this is the same Festus Keyamo, the same Bayo Ononuga, the same Femi Fani-Kayode, the same APC, the same Tinubu's campaign team that came out to scream and shout after the elections of February 25 were rigged. The same Festus Keyamo came to say, oh, if you're not happy with the outcome of the result, go to court. Perhaps when they made that statement, they did not think that Peter Obi would go to court. But then Peter Obi said, okay, I will go to court. Perhaps they became shocked again. And it would appear that they now started using their machineries, started pulling their strings, using their correct connections and their influences. And somehow, we found an INEC that went to court to get a court order to reconfigure beavers. The same INEC now refused and delayed again access to Peter Obi, who also got a court order to inspect beavers, which is what he needed to file his case in the tribunal. And he only had 21 days. And in that singular act of INEC, they almost thwarted the ability of Peter Obi and Labour Party to file their petition at the tribunal within the stipulated 21 days. I guess at that point, they were now thinking, what do we do? Oh, let's call for a government of national unity. They suggested that to Tinubu, and Tinubu said, no, I will make it better. I will call it a government of national competence. Oh, we don't need to go to court anymore. Let's forget. In fact, they even started talking through some religious groups, some ethnic groups. Oh, the election has come and gone. Let's come together and build Nigeria. That's okay. It's well within their rights to do that. Just as it is well within the rights of Peter Obi to accept or to reject. And as God will have it, Peter Obi rejected the offer. I guess that pained them. It pained them because the way and manner Peter Obi filed that petition, I must tell you, it surprised even me. Because leading to the deadline, I became worried. I was screaming and talking and saying all manner that we should jettison INEC and just file our petition. We can change it as time went by. So far, we don't miss the deadline. But Peter Obi somehow was able to file that petition on the 20th day. And the manner he did it, it was like in a war scenario, when you surround the enemy on all sides and the enemy has nowhere to run. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, the 3 grounds on which an election petition can be filed were exhausted. All 3 grounds. And I guess this made the APC feel cornered. And the next thing we are hearing is that Tinubu had to be flown abroad for rest. Some say it is medical treatment. But it doesn't matter. Obviously, the way and manner that Peter Obi filed his complaint actually got to the APC. And the fact that he rejected their government of national competence, guess it got to APC. I guess it got to Festus Keyamo. But I don't think that is why Festus Keyamo is so energetic, so angry, calling for the arrest of Peter Obi and Datti. I don't think so. Just as I don't think it is because of what Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed said. Because in that interview on Channels TV, what Festus Keyamo kept hammering on was what Yusuf Datti said. That President Buhari should not swear in an unconstitutional president-elect. That the Chief Justice of Nigeria should not swear in an unconstitutional president-elect. And then he forgot that Festus Keyamo forgot that the same Yusuf Datti said, if President Buhari or the CJN goes on to swear in President-elect Tinubu, that it will still remain an unconstitutional swearing in because the constitutional conditions for declaring a president was not met. And and he was talking about the section 134 of the Constitution. Now, Festus Keyamo is hanging on that to say that he has committed treasonable felony. How is that treasonable felony when the Constitution allows you to disagree with the outcome of an election based on your perception of the process? Remember that it was the same APC that said if you are not satisfied with the outcome of the election, you can go to court. Now Peter Obi has gone to court and Festus Keyamo is coming out to say this. What is happening here? What is treasonable felony about what Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed said? If the law allows you to be aggrieved and in your being grieved, you are allowed to go to court, what is treasonable felony about being grieved? Because when you say, oh, it is unconstitutional, it is a manifestation. It is describing your grief. Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed has not hidden the fact that they disagree with the outcome of the election. Have they? They have not. Peter Obi has not hidden the fact that he disagrees with the outcome of the election. What does it mean to disagree with the outcome of an election? Is it not that INEC has declared Tinubu as president-elect, but I, as Peter Obi, I disagree. He is not president-elect. Is that not what it means to disagree? And the Constitution provides for the constitutional means to seek redress for disagreeing, which means the Constitution recognizes that a candidate in an election can disagree. Just as Peter Obi disagrees, just as Yusuf Datti disagrees. So, what does it mean to disagree, Festus Keyamo? To disagree means, in case you don't know, because it would appear as if you don't know many things, despite the fact that you are supposed to be a learned colleague to, you're supposed to be a learned person, a lawyer, and not just a lawyer now, a senior advocate of Nigeria. What does it mean to be aggrieved? Not to agree with the outcome of an election. What does it mean? If you don't know, I will tell you. It means that whatever the declarations that have been made by the electoral umpire, in this case INEC, through its chairman Mahmood Yakubu, whatever declarations have been made, a contestant has the right to disagree with it. So if Mahmood Yakubu says Tinubu is the president-elect, Peter Obi or Yusuf Datti have the right to say, no, the way and manner you did it, I don't agree. He is not president-elect. That is what it means to disagree. So if Peter Obi is allowed to disagree constitutionally and is also allowed to seek constitutional means to redress it, how is that treasonable felony, Festus Keyamo? How is that treasonable felony? Which is why it's not because of the statement of Yusuf Datti that you are calling for the arrest of Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti. There's a reason, and the reason is simple. The reason is because, remember when Festus Keyamo went on national TV to lie, to defend Tinubu in his US drug case? He could get away with it because he said that on TV, not under oath. They were not expecting, Festus Keyamo was not expecting, Tinubu's camp were not expecting that the petition will include this US drug case. If you remember, if you cast your mind back, you would discover that Tinubu has not said a word concerning this US drug case. He has not mentioned a word. The best they did was send their attack dogs in the likes of Festus Keyamo, Bayo Ononuga, Femi Fani-Kayode. That was the best they did. Tinubu himself did not mention a word concerning this. Not a word. Not a word. Now, the case has been taken to the tribunal, which means it's now a court case. Which means that Tinubu must now respond. His lawyers must now respond under oath. And everything they say under oath, if found to be false, means perjury. The lawyers themselves will go to jail. And the clarity of this fact, the fact that this was done in the US, this court drug case against Tinubu was done in the US, makes it difficult for the APC to pull strings, to push it under the carpet, to sweep it under the carpet. So it's a painful thing for Festus Keyamo now. All those things he said on Channels TV about 4 or 5 months ago, now he cannot come and say them in court, because he will be lying under oath and he will be risking perjury and risking jail time. That is why he is calling for the arrest. So rather than wait for the court process, which they asked Peter Obi to go to for the outcome of the court, rather than wait for the outcome of the court, he is now calling for the DSS to arrest Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti. This is the reason, and Nigerians, we need to know, so that we'll see that there's no need to respond to Festus Keyamo now. Let the hearing begin at the tribunal. Let us answer all the questions at the tribunal. There's no treasonable felony that Yusuf Datti has committed. Yusuf Datti is well within his rights to disagree with the declaration of INEC that Tinubu is president-elect. Is well within the right of Datti to disagree, and disagreeing simply means that he does not believe that Tinubu is president-elect, and he has gone to court to seek legal redress. Do you understand this? So there's no treasonable felony there. None at all. The only fear that Festus Keyamo has that is making him so hysterical, that is making him scream and behave like a tout on national TV, bringing the name of the NBA to such disrepute. The only reason is because now the case of 30 years ago that happened in the US is coming back to bite him and his principal.
Now, what is going on is that Datti Ahmed comes here, and it has been a series of interviews by himself and Peter Obi. Yesterday was the final nail on the coffin. It was the final straw that broke the camel's back. That somebody who wanted to become vice president of this country, of that level, would come here, sit before the world, and tell the world that he does not recognize a president-elect that has been declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, and that the president-elect must not be sworn in, and that he does not even recognize, the process that they have, started, in court. He does not trust that process, I mean. And that's the person who wanted to become vice president of this country. How? And then he arrogates to himself the right or the power to interpret the Constitution, interpret, Section 134 of the Constitution to suit his own whims and caprices, and then declares that what the INEC did was totally unconstitutional, and that what will come in on May 29 will be an unconstitutional government. It is the delusion of grandeur. It's complete delusion of grandeur for anybody to say now that there is no president-elect. Just to tell you that amounts to subverting the very process that they have started in the tribunal. They are subverting that process by coming out of that process to then call for insurrection in a subliminal manner, for protest and insurrection to truncate that process. I want to say this clearly, that the process we have established since 1999 is that elections take place. People are sworn into office, but those who have grievances are given the right to continue their grievances, air their grievances in court. And some months into their tenures, if the judgments come in, they are removed from office. So there is nothing so serious that he came to raise here yesterday about swearing in somebody who has been given a certificate of return. Himself, Datti Ahmed himself, was removed from office twice. He stole people's mandates. And I'm not saying anything gross. It is judicial pronouncement that you stole a mandate. He was sworn in as a senator, was he not?
He accused your party of stealing.
But hold on. But he was sworn in.
And I'm asking.
Let me finish. Let me finish this statement. He was sworn in as a senator. But the person who was challenging his victory continued his case in court. Another CPC, under the same Buhari that he's abusing now, he rode under his wings, purportedly won a Senate seat in Kaduna, was sworn into office. Nobody said he shouldn't be sworn in at that time. But he was carrying a stolen mandate. And at the end of the day, there was judicial, pronouncement, and Baba that time was removed from office. Why is he opposed to that same procedure that he benefited from? In our own case, it is not an admission that our election was flawed, was totally flawed to the extent that it substantially affected, the result of the election. No, I'm not admitting that. I'm not saying that this is a procedure we have since established in 1999. And that is what the Labour Party is doing. And that is why I had to petition them to the DSS. There's a build-up to something that they are doing. There's a build-up. The build-up they are doing is to rile the people up, pump them up, and then turn them against the judiciary, that if your judgment does not go in a particular way, and that is why he has come here yesterday, he came here yesterday to say the constitution comes interpreted. What does that mean? He's telling the judiciary that this thing, I have interpreted it, the people of Nigeria have interpreted it, and if you say anything different, they will come after you. That is where they're going. And so they are setting up a scene for rebellion, and they are setting up a scene to blackmail the judiciary. And that is why if you go online now, I have alerted the DSS that they have camped some boys in one popular hotel in Abuja. And I will give that information to the DSS, where they have told them every morning to be pumping out, online messages to rile up the citizens, cause fear, and all of that. And so what they want to do is to say once the judiciary now goes another way, then the judiciary must have sold out. So and that's why they are threatening the judges. And they have gone up to that point. I want to make this point. Nigerians must know that the Labour Party online touts now are threatening judges, threatening their families, exposing them. Go online and see what is happening. And so there is a situation where they want to create fear in this country. They try, you know that during the elections, they tried to threaten people to support them. They failed. During the announcement, they tried to threaten INEC. So everything about them is threats. To threaten INEC to support them, they failed. Now they want to move to the judiciary. It is enough is enough. Shehu, we are ready. Let me tell you this. People who voted, and majority are that, who voted for Asiwaju and the APC, they are the silent majority now. And so if they think they want to push this country towards NSAS, where it was citizens, NSAS was a situation where citizens were dissatisfied with a policy of government, an institution of government called NSAS. That was totally different. But they think they can rile up and citizens towards a situation of SARS again, but NSAS. But this time they should realize that this is not activities, it's pure politics. And if you want to do that now, it will not be citizens against government, it will be citizens, voters against voters. Oh there. But you don't say you don't recognize a legitimate government. That is treasonable felony. What Peter Obi and Datti Ahmed are doing is treasonable felony, and we must draw the line for them now.
That is your interpretation.
No, it is not. It is when
it is the courts to
when you don't recognize a legitimate government that has gone through the process and it is legitimate, and you say you don't recognize it, you want to live your own life, it is treason. And let me tell you this.
That's how you interpret it.
What Peter
until
Obi,
the court now said
what Peter Obi, and that is when they will defend themselves now. But you must be charged first. You understand me? You will be charged for that. That's what I'm telling them to do. I'm not interpreting. They will charge them for that. Charge them and go and defend yourself. Why you are calling on people to protest?
That's the remit of the states to do, though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why I've submitted myself to process. Have I not? Did I come here to say I will go and arrest them fiscally? I'm a senior lawyer. I've instituted the process. I have started the process. And you see, what they are doing, let me tell you, they are living in a bubble of their own. Peter Obi, Datti, and his supporters, I'm saying this on air, they are living in their own bubble. They are not hearing the other voices of Nigerians who are saying, we hate your bigotry. We are not buying your message of Christian votes. We are not buying your tribalism. They are not hearing those voices. There are voices in this country. Say, no, hold on. There are voices in this country saying we don't like those messages. But they are not hearing those voices. They are living in a bubble of their own. And they will hear those voices very soon if they continue with this nonsense they are doing. Right. As from now on, it's going to be propaganda against propaganda, word for word. We will meet them everywhere because Asiwaju has a mandate he will defend. And we're prepared to defend that mandate.
And you politicians are not afraid of burning this country with the manner in which you have described.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you why. If you want to push your supporters to protest, it is only where you are popular you can protest. So you are going to be burning the areas where you are popular. Do you want to tell Obi that I can call us protesters in Kanu? Can he call out protesters in Ekiti? Can he call out protesters in Ondo? Can he call out protesters in Borno? Can he call out protesters in Jigawa? Go and call them out now. Right. You can only call out protesters where they are popular. So you'll be born in areas where you are popular. That is where you can burn.